I'm Riley Petillion. I'm a PhD candidate in the departments of both chemistry and education. I go between each at UBC Okanagan, and I am very grateful to be here today because not only was I that one little Canadian dot on that map we saw at the beginning, but that was the Vancouver campus, and I'm at the Okanagan campus, which is 400 kilometers, 300 something miles to the right into the middle of the province. So anytime I have interactions with the Vancouver campus about CIRTL, I get really excited, but this is even beyond that. So thanks for having me. Today I am talking about my project I was working on this year of identifying essential factors in producing effective and engaging instructional videos, both aspects there. A little bit of background, the first year chemistry curriculum at UBC Okanagan is blended in the sense that we have a mixture of traditional lectures and active learning lectures, so case studies, guided inquiries, flipped classrooms. And for our flipped classrooms where we teach ahead of time and practice in class, the way we deliver our content to our students at home is through instructional videos. So this project is looking at what made our videos effective and what made our videos engaging, or good for learning and good for engagement. So those are my two research questions. Which factors are most crucial to maximizing student learning and which factors are most crucial to maximizing student engagement? So learning would be more quantitative. This student understands the concept better and can test better with it. In engagement, they actually feel better about learning. They are engaged with the video. They don't just quit 2 minutes out of it. So we have talked about, or I have published about this before, our manuscript on the instructional videos and what they are. They're special to our university. A complaint that students had with other instructional videos is that it's not necessarily in the scope of our curriculum, but because we made these ourselves in-house, they are embedded in the curriculum. In the video, it says last class you did this, next class you did this. The topics are very specific for what they need to know for our class. And it's not like if you just look up a video on Crash Course or Khan Academy where you look at a topic, but sometimes they go in a scope, out of scope. So this is very focused to our curriculum. And there have been plenty of studies before for the best do's and don'ts of instructional videos. But this study serves to rank them. What's the best bang for your buck? What should you focus your time on doing? Backgrounds about the video. They are fun. They are colorful. We called them Mind Over Matter. This all started because I had a hobby of making really stupid videos with my friends growing up. So that's where my digital background comes from. And then I fell in love with teaching and I got to combine those two passions. So I'm very fortunate for that. But what you'll see here is this is a little cartoon of the course instructor. He was really mad when we made the hair gray, but it is what it is. You'll notice that the three segments here are in a triangle. In chemistry, we have this very famous teaching and learning concept called Johnstone's triangle. And what Johnstone says as part of this triangle is that chemistry is a hard topic to learn for three reasons. One, you need to understand the symbols of chemistry. Two, you need to understand what's happening at the microscopic level. And three, you need to understand what's happening at the macroscopic level, so the actual physical changes you see with your eyes. So for those three reasons, it's quite difficult. So we mirrored those within our videos with three different segments. To the lab is where the instructor goes to the lab and does the macroscopic experiment. Let's get small. We have these little molecular animations for the microscopic. And the Mighty Pen, it's where we have a little screencast segment where the instructor's off screen and it's just a pen on paper kind of Khan Academy sort of thing. So the video goes between the instructor speaking at you and these three segments, as well as we have some embedded interactive questions. So as the instructor is speaking, he will check your understanding, reinforce it, or ask you to apply the concept. You can click the answers on screen. If you get a question wrong, he'll tell you why you're wrong and let you try again. If you get it right, he will affirm you, congratulate you, make you feel good about yourself, and the video will continue. So the methods we use to study the engagement and learning aspects are strictly qualitative for the study. So various qualitative methods were used to investigate the student appreciation of various instructional aspects. So in the first study we did, we identified all the things the student liked about it. And on this study, we're going to ask them what's the best out of these. So the interactivity, that's the embedded questions that students can click on. The animations, so that's the microscopic of the triangle. The instructor qualities was a big hit. The instructor is famously enthusiastic and flamboyant and present on screen. Students tend to enjoy and a few disdain, but majority wins. Screencasts, so some people like the Khan Academy kind of vibe. And to study these things, we started off with a survey, basic Likert, how much do you appreciate these things, as well as ranking. So in the survey, you can drag and drop these aspects and rank them. And then we did some follow-up semi-structured interviews to get the students to elaborate on the responses and really dig down deep what's motivating them for those responses. The ranking results, so these are weighted rankings. So if you assigned it first, it was worth more than you've assigned it second, third, fourth, fifth. And the first columns are for learning, the second columns are for engagement. First off, I'd like to point out that ranks 1 and 2 are the same but opposite for both learning and engagement. So number 1 for learning was the interactive questions. That's the check-in for reinforcement throughout the video. So like I said, you get immediate feedback with those questions. Students will click on the screen. It will take you to a different part of the video where the instructor tells you specifically what you were just thinking and why that's wrong and what you have to change in your thought process for the right answer. Gives you another attempt and you're stuck in that loop until you get the answer right. So that was number 1 for learning, but also number 2 for engagement. And that's because if you're watching the video and the question pops up and you weren't paying attention, you can't keep watching the video until you get the question right. So you have to go back and rewatch it or just keep answering the questions. So that helps them stay engaged. And apparently having a loud person on screen talking at you, the personality, the voice, the tone of voice, enthusiasm is most important for engagement. So when you're making your instructional videos, no monotone, have your coffee first, do whatever you have to do to be in a good mood before you hit that record button. And apparently it helps for learning as well. 3, 4, 5 are the same for learning and engagement. I'm going to talk about rank 5 though. Demonstrations for learning, so that's a macroscopic. We'll be talking about a concept like collision theory if you're familiar with chemistry. And we'll go to the lab and show you an experiment. That does not help the student learn collision theory. They've already learned it. The application isn't the same as learning the concept. It's interesting, but it's not part of the instructional video. And a lot of feedback we got was, get the demonstration of the video, it makes it longer, I don't care about it, put it in a separate video for those who actually want to see the application of their concept. And engagement, number 5, was actually the screencast. So it was decent for learning, but not good for engagement. Having just like the Khan Academy pen on paper is useful, but not fun. Then I coded some themes for our semi-structured interviews. Interactive questions was the most talked about thing. These were all in positive light. The first time we did it, there was some negative because we had some kinks to work out with them. But you can see animation, instructor, screencaster, all those are other common themes. But what's new is color, practice questions, and transitions were mentioned a lot. Color, having the bright, vibrant colors apparently makes it more engaging. There was also a few things where students, and this is very interesting in chemistry, would say that colors relate to specific topics. Like if they saw the color red, they would think, oh, this is an acid or an electrophile. And they would make these random, not random, but interesting associations in their head. So I think that's something worth pursuing further. Practice questions, students just ask for more practice questions at the end to keep practicing. And transitions. So earlier I said part of the triangle, we had these 3 segments. Instead of just like blipping to each segment, we had like a 2-second animation of the little instructor avatar jumping over to the next segment. And that little 2-second pause, the students said like gave them like some breathing room, some time to like reflect on what just happened before jumping into the next section. So that was interesting as well. Reflection. So the most bang for your buck here is if you want your students to learn more from these instructional videos is you have them practice their questions during the video. You embed the questions. There are a few ways to do that. Some of them you have to pay for, but your media team at your university should be able to help you out with that. Or I can talk about that more in questions. And yeah, be happy on camera. Show that you're passionate about the concept, and students should reflect that attitude. So don't spend so much time making your screencasts if you're not going to be lively and supportive with embedded questions. And throughout this research project, I came from a wet lab background before I went to education. So I learned a lot about the recruiting process and the importance of well-delineated research timelines. Because if you miss a semester, guess what? You can't do your research project for another year. So education research, qualitative research is quite different than the wet lab. Any questions? There is my email, and I'm free to talk to you for the next few minutes. Thank you so much.